Okay, again, verifying this identity, we have tangent minus cotangent equals secant times 2 sine minus cosecant. Pick whichever side you want to start with. It doesn't really matter. What I notice is that I have a secant times a sine. If you think through what that's going to look like, that's 1 over cosine times a sine, which means that's going to turn into a tangent. Secant times cosecant, that's going to turn into something as well. So you can start with that side if you want to. You can start with this side and simplify these down as fractions and see what happens. I like starting on the left and working my way to the right. If you want to start on the right and work your way to the left, you should be totally fine. So tangent x minus cotangent x. That's the same thing as sine over cosine minus cosine over sine. Okay, I want to combine those into a single fraction. So I'm going to get a common denominator. That means I'm going to multiply this one by cosine over cosine, and this one by sine over sine. Okay, so I have sine squared x minus cosine squared x all over sine x cosine x. Okay, what are we trying to get to? We're trying to get to a secant x times 2 sine x minus cosecant x. Am I anywhere near that? Well, secant x, that's 1 over cosine. I have a cosine down here, so what happens if I factor it out? Let's see, we have sine squared x minus cosine squared x over sine x. And then this is times, I have that secant that they wanted. All right, what next? So I have a sine x minus a cosine squared over a sine x. That's not quite what I want. So what piece is missing from what they asked for versus what I have? Well, I don't have a 2. I don't really know where that 2 is going to come from yet. So let's see if we can reason through. What I do know is that sine squared is equal to 1 minus cosine squared. Is that going to help me? Maybe. I know that cosine squared is equal to 1 minus sine squared. Okay, I think that one might be helpful. Why do I think that's going to be helpful? I need to get 2 sines somehow. Right now I have a sine squared. That's not terrible, but I need 2 of them. So I'm going to switch my cosine squared into a 1 minus sine squared. And let's see if that helps. So I'm going to have sine squared x minus 1 minus sine squared x over sine x times secant x. All right, now what happens on top? Now I have sine squared minus 1 minus a negative sine squared. So that's going to be 2 sine squared x minus 1 over sine x. All right, does this give me what I want? Ooh, okay. So I need 2 sine x minus cosecant x. What happens if I split up these fractions? If I take 2 sine squared x over sine x minus 1 over sine x. Okay, so 2 sine squared x over sine x, one of those will cancel. And 1 over sine x is just equal to cosecant. So that does simplify down to what they wanted. I can multiply by secant x on the end, and then I verified that what we started with and what we ended with were totally the same.